What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. Happy New Year. Doing a Glenallachie rundown for you guys. Starting over here with the 10-year-old port, 48%. This is part of a wood finish series that Billy Walker invented. Also in that series is the PX 12-year-old. This is also 48%. Over here I have the 12-year-old standard release, which I already reviewed. You guys can check that out in the archives. The title of the review is called Why Ralphie Was Right. This was his Whiskey of the Year last year. And then over here I have the new 15-year-old in the standard release and the 18-year-old, which is 46%. All the standard release stuff is 46%. All of his special stuff so far has been 48% or higher. So we'll see what he decides to do in the future. But so far I'm loving Glenallachie, guys. Couple things really quickly before I get into the nosing tasting of each one of these. I will be doing a head-to-head review of the Glenallachie 15 versus the Glendronach 15. They're both 2019 bottlings, so that's going to be in the near future. I will be doing a 12-year-old versus 12-year-old in the near future. That's not coming up anytime soon, but that will be within 2020. The next time I go live, I'm going to be reviewing this Springbank 20-year-old, and I'm going to be featuring some of the new Springbank stuff that I got. I recently got a Kilkerran 15-year-old single cask, which is a bourbon cask. I got the new 15-year-old Springbank rum cask, and I got the new Springbank 10-year-old local barley. So those will be featured but not reviewed in the video where I review this bad boy right here. Starting over here with the 10-year-old port. When I first opened this bottle, I was blown away at the port influence in this whiskey, and you can kind of tell it's darker than the rest of these. It really has a solid amount of port influence in this 10-year-old. And on the nose, you definitely get that. You get strawberries right away. Beautiful fresh fruit type notes. Mostly on the red fruit side, like raspberries, strawberries. Definitely berry heavy. Bottled at 48%, but it doesn't nose that way. And for younger whiskeys, that says a lot. You do get the Glenallachie characteristic. It's like this almost burnt, charcoaly type note on the finish. It's on the nose and it's on the palate, but more on the finish of the palate. I don't know how much peat is in these. I know that the 10-year-old here is a limited bottling. So pick this one up before I even nose it and taste it. I'm telling you to pick it up. Really, really nice nose. Maybe a touch of peat. Maybe like 2 to 5 ppm on all of these. On the palate. Yeah, so fruit heavy. Strawberries. Man, this is such a good 10-year-old that I really want to buy more of it just to have it on my bar. It's pretty inexpensive, coming in under $100. Wow, the nose is beautiful. Wow, really, really nice stuff. I honestly hope he changes his mind and turns this into a standard release because it's beautiful. They have a cask strength that's part of the standard release, but actually that reminds me, I will be doing a head-to-head, the cask strength versus the 10-year-old. So you will get another 10-year-old video out of this Glenallachie, but it will be more focused on how good the cask strength is compared to this port. But the port is beautiful. Really, really nice. Wow. And again, that Glenallachie characteristic comes in through on the finish. I love port finishes, but they're not always done right. This is done really, really well. Honestly, that's an A+ for me, actually. That's a 90. That's a 90 for sure. And this is a lot for the fact that it's a 10-year-old whiskey compared to some really good whiskey here. Next up is the 12-year-old standard release. Like I said, I already reviewed this. I just kind of want to give you an idea of where it stands in the entire collection. I don't have the 25-year-old here, and I'm missing a few of the wood finish expressions, but this gives you a good gist of what Glenallachie is all about. Love that nose, very fruity, some peaches, some apples. This is a combination of PX, Oloroso, and bourbon casks, but it doesn't look like it's a lot of sherry influence despite there being two different types of sherry cask involved. Yeah, just one of those ones that you really need to have on your bar at all times. Excellent whiskey. I think if you're a big port fan, you're going to like the port a little bit better, the 10-year-old. But if you just like your standard everyday kind of whiskey, this amps that up a little bit. It's really nice, really elegant. That's an 89 for me. That's an A. I probably went down a mark from my original mark, but I will tend to do that in my rundowns. Okay, over here to the PX 12-year-old, 48%, so 2% more than the 46 standard release 12-year-old. Also beautiful on the nose. I love what he did with these. Here it is. This one and this one are super bold. They're in your face. You really get sherry influence on this one, particularly PX, but I wouldn't say that's the type of PX that I've come to get used to. Really sweet on the nose though. The port, really, really sweet on the nose. Definitely in your face as well. You're getting a lot of wine influence on these two. If you don't love wine influence scotch, go with this 12-year-old because that's a lot less, a lot more tame. The bourbon cask definitely shines through a lot more. Beautiful nose though, like definitely some red fruits in there. Some chocolates as well, maybe some toffee. Milk chocolate for sure. And then that Glenallachie characteristic kicks in. You get all those same things on the palate, but then the finish is this beautiful coffee note, which honestly I love about this whiskey. Again, this is a 90. It's an A+. It's give or take between these two. I don't know if you lean towards port finish whiskey, you might like the port better. This is really nice as well. More on the chocolate side, whereas the 10 is more on the fruity side. Okay, over here to the newer 15-year-old. Again, I'm going to give this a more fair shake when I do the Glendronach versus Glenallachie 15 head-to-head. And the reason I say that is this has just been opened, so it's not in its money zone yet, and I do feel it needs to open up a little bit more. But again, this is PX and Oloroso influence on this one. Something's holding me back a little bit from the other three. I would say that this one just needs to open up a little bit more. Once it gets a little bit lower down in the bottle, oxidizes a little bit better, it's going to be that much better. %, doesn't drink that way. That's what I love about Glenallachie. None of these whiskeys burn at all. They're definitely all everyday sippers despite the higher ABV. But what really shines through is the creaminess of all of these. It's like a chocolatey, but also like a chalky, like a drier type note. I can't really put a finger on what that is. What I love about all of these is that they're not sulfured at all, which is great. I'm getting really sensitive to sulfur these days, and none of these are sulfured, which is awesome for me. The nose needs some opening up, but the palate's still really, really nice. You don't get as much of that distillery characteristic on the back end. I feel like he maybe was a little bit too generous with his wine cask influence on this one in particular. It seems like it might actually be the darkest. Right now I'm going to give this one an 86, but I believe that this is going to go up to an 89, even a 90. I just think it needs a little bit more time to open up, and that'll be done when I do it against this Glendronach Revival, which again is the 2019. So I believe that that would be a pretty fair comparison considering that they're both Oloroso and PX. Okay, last but not least is the 18-year-old over here, 46%. This one I acquired in a trade with a buddy of mine, but also very well priced at around $150 to $160 Canadian. Nose is beautiful. And I want to compare this to the 12. just because they came out at around the exact same time. Yeah, the nose is a little bit more refined on the 18 for sure. Beautiful. A little bit more towards the darker fruits. That's probably because of the age. The extra 6 years obviously helped. A little bit of chocolate, a little bit of butterscotch in there as well. On the palate. Just awesome. Honestly, I really like this. I think this is great. I put this right up there with my favorite 18-year-olds, and I think I have to revisit the best 18-year-old Scotch video sometime in the near future, because I didn't try the Enoch 18 and I didn't try this 18-year-old at that time, and I do think some things will have to be shuffled around when I revisit that video. A ton of distillery characteristic on the back end. Again, like I said, it's like some sort of charcoal type note on the finish, and then everything about this is a little bit more amped up from the 12. So people ask, which would you prefer to buy for the price? You can get this one for under $90 Canadian. You can get this one for just under $150 Canadian. Which one would you go with? I think I would still go with the 18. It's definitely more refined in this case, but honestly, you can't go wrong with any of these. I do think this one will get a lot better. This is a 90-91 for me, honestly. It might be the winner of the show, despite the fact that it's the most expensive. Rightly so. It's 18 years old. Billy Walker did an incredible job with this entire collection. I would love to know what the 25-year-old tastes like. I think I had it one night on one of those lives where we did too many whiskeys and probably didn't get the gist of how good that whiskey actually was. But wow, this 18-year-old is excellent. Like I said, I'm leaning more towards a 91 than a 90, but definitely an A+. A+, high A, A+, A, and then A+ as well. So really great whiskeys all around here. But the 18-year-old and the 10-year-old really stand out to me as the go-tos. I would definitely want to have this one on my bar at all times. But this 10 is awesome. Honestly, I really would love to have this on my bar at all times. I'll probably buy it back up just to have maybe 2. That's it for now, guys. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you really like the video, hit the subscribe button. You guys can check me out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you guys can support this channel on Patreon. Cheers.